Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Yegi project. Today's episode is one that a lot of people search for. So I'm going to go off the bat and say, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? Or what is an entrepreneur? It is such a topic that lately, or the past like 5-7 years, everybody's been wanting to be an entrepreneur, but deep down, they don't take the leap of faith, or they don't even know what an entrepreneur really is within their field, their work, or their interests. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the different ways you can be an entrepreneur. Or when somebody says, I'm an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, wait, what do you mean? A lot of people sometimes say that term, but we don't understand exactly what they do, right? So I'm going to break it down, in my opinion, from my past experience with working with entrepreneurs and with myself transitioning in different responsibilities and different type of scales within my business, of what the different 3 types of entrepreneurs there are. Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. The first one is a solopreneur, right? We've heard this term before. So a solopreneur, in my opinion, you're an entrepreneur, but you're basically on your own. So a lot of times people can take that leap of faith and do their solopreneurship, or even start being a solopreneur, entrepreneur on the side of their actual 9-to-5 or whatever job that they have. You may also kind of think of yourself as a contractor in a way. So the main thing of it is that you're on your own. So you're still an entrepreneur, but you don't have the headache of having employees, having a lot of different responsibilities, a lot of different services. You are yourself offering whatever service you do best, or whatever you're selling, whatever product you do best, but you're basically doing it on your own. Now, I would not call this I own a business. And again, it sometimes feels great saying I own a business or I'm an entrepreneur. And that's okay, actually. You can say whatever you want to say. The reason why I'm defining it in these 3 different levels is because ideally you would want to kind of move up in this kind of ladder from A, which is the solopreneur we talked about. The next thing we want to talk about is you're going to be a business owner operator, which means that you do have officially a business now. You're not on your own. You might have hired some contractors, or you might be having some employees, but you're also fully involved yourself working. With that, the business might not run, right? So that's a business owner operator. Initially, when I started getting into business, I had no idea all these different ways of being an entrepreneur, or being my own boss, or having my own flexibility, but we do have options there. And I did mention about climbing this ladder of this 3 different, levels of being an entrepreneur. That's ideally if you want to grow your business to a point where you step back and you're not doing anything. You're basically an investor in the business now, and you're just earning the money from it. You're not really involved. You're not working. But we'll talk about that at the end, or the later. That will be the 3rd level. But I do want to point out, although I did say ideally, like the very, very eager entrepreneur who wants to get to that point, that's kind of ideally where we want to go, is from being a solopreneur into a business owner operator, and then stepping back and just earning income from your business. Or at that point, like I said, you're either kind of like an investor, or anyways, we'll get into that later. But the reality of it is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you don't have to feel like it's impossible because you don't like to manage other people. You can stay as a solopreneur and fully be your own boss, enjoy life, and manage your business alone however you want it. That is okay. That's fine being an entrepreneur that way. You don't have to have the pressure of growing and managing people, hiring contractors. All of that may not be right for you. And this is the video to tell you that's okay. sometimes actually that's kind of a better fit for an entrepreneur, is to be a solopreneur and be your own boss, do your own thing in your own way, get as many jobs or put in as much work into your business, but not have to worry about the headache of managing other people, having a payroll, and all the other extra headaches that come with growing it into like a business with multiple employees or contractors or on a bigger scale, right? But if that's right for you to go from the solopreneur into a business owner operator, which that would, in my opinion, be the next step from, like I said, being in business for a long time now. That's kind of what I would advise, is start as a solopreneur. Don't give yourself such a big cost, such a big headache with having so many different aspects of it. Then you can start hiring some people, grow it to a different scale, see if that's right for you. But at any point, what I want to say is we can work on ourselves to grow in order to grow with the business. So be the right person to have or become the business owner operator and hire people and all of that. But if you don't think you're the right person for that, there's nothing wrong with just running your business by yourself and scaling it to that. You can enjoy your work, your day-to-day, and really love what you do still have the flexibility and still make really good money compared to trying to be eager, grow it into full-on business with employees, but then you're not really making that much money. You might be making like tiny bit more money because you have a lot more costs now. Maybe you got an office, you hired a receptionist, you did this and that. So you really have to kind of like sit down and think about, okay, is this right for me? Do I want to put in all this extra work? Is it going to work with my lifestyle, or am I happy with being a solopreneur? Do I have the flexibility? Do I have the amount of income that I have that I can live the lifestyle that I want to live? Of course, we always want more, but from my practice, sometimes putting in that extra sacrifice or extra headaches is not worth the more. You can find a different way to scale if you really prefer, or if your personality or the way you are, it really works better as a solopreneur. We've talked about in other episodes, you can create more content. Again, you don't have to worry about other people, and you can try to grow your business that way, get some extra income from the content world. Or you can write a book, you can write an ebook or a guidebook, you can try to do mini seminars. Again, that's going to involve working with people, but it's you as the main employee or the main person, entrepreneur, compared to you having to hire, fire, manage other people. Now, I think that's like the biggest fear people have about going on their own or going into business, is managing other people or having to be responsible for other people. Because at the end of the day, sometimes when you do get into business, we have the fear of, oh, what if I don't make enough money to pay my employees or this person that I'm hiring? Is it going to be worth it, right? And of course, that goes back to Business 101. We want to make sure we do the budget, we see our costs, we project how much money we're going to be getting in before we fully just depend on our business to support our lifestyle. And I know in the previous episode, I did interview someone, and that's what we talked about. We always want to have our business, or as much as we can, you want to start your business with having the peace of mind that your living costs are still covered. So that means two things. You're either starting your business by yourself with low cost on the side and building it while you have your regular job that's earning your money, or you are saving as much money that you can survive at least 3 to 6 months before you take that leap of faith and jump into putting your 100% into a business. And it depends on your personality. For me personally, I am the all-in cold turkey type of personality. It's like all or nothing. So I personally went all in into my business, but I did have a lot of money saved, or I also had gotten a business loan to buy me the 3 to 6 months for me to survive before I knew like that I can have my business be making money. And of course, that kind of comes with the business risk territory of, okay, how do I know if in 3 to 6 months I'm going to actually be making money? So I do want to say that all comes with what you're doing and just pivoting and projecting and planning as you go. A lot of times when you start a business, it might not go exactly how you planned for, but you have to be real for yourself. And when you do start as a solopreneur, you do have to assess and do your numbers and be like, okay, well, I could survive like this for another month, or I need to find a way to get 2 more clients in order to pay my rent, for example, right? And I think the number one thing I've learned with being an entrepreneur is to always like keep your eyes open and be realistic with yourself. If you need to pivot, or if you need to make any dramatic changes or take a pause on things, you do have to do that in order to survive in business. You cannot assume that everything's always going to go your way 100%. So having that 3 to 6 months of savings to support your regular lifestyle and bills is really, really important if you are going to jump into being an entrepreneur. Or you really work really hard, do this as your second job, and only quit when your business or your solopreneurship or your business, or however, whatever scale you're at, is covering all your current bills and lifestyle before you can kind of let go and 100% focus on your business. So going back to the second type of business or entrepreneur is the business owner operator. And again, I didn't really understand this when I started a business either. I initially thought that I can just live a free life and I'm just gonna invest the money, because like I said, I had a business loan and I had saved enough money to kind of like open up my salon back then, and I was going to hire people and everything was going to run perfectly smoothly according to my business plan, and I didn't have to do anything. My plan was to sit down and study for the CPA exam. Like, the business was almost kind of like for fun, and I was still going to become a CPA and practice accounting. Boring, which I never did, because everything worked out great, thank God. I mean, it had its ups and downs, definitely. It still has its ups and downs, but I didn't have to go back to my backup plan of being an accountant. Once you figure out how to be an entrepreneur, I think it's almost impossible to go back. I guess I could be an entrepreneur with an accounting type of job or a firm, but it does not sound fun at all. not after being in beauty and I guess like media and with the podcast and everything. Anyways, I totally went off the wall with my personal I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Let's get back into topic. So solopreneur, first step. Second step, business owner, operator. As I was telling you guys from my experience, initially I thought that I could put in the money, I could start the business, everything is going to go well, and I'm just going to sit and collect money. So that doesn't work like that in reality, at least in an unestablished, like a brand new business. Maybe if I already bought an established business, that could have been a better plan. You know, it's already operating, it's bringing money in, it works. But I was starting a fresh startup new business. It doesn't work like that. A lot of times you do end up being a business owner and operator. And what that means is that you're working really, really, really hard. Not only you are thinking about all your employees, the business, the customers, you're also putting in all the work. Like, that's the hardest I ever had to work, is literally do everything from answering phones to cleaning the toilets to save costs, to try to like do services for so cheap that's not worth it, to find customers for my other employees. It was a lot of work. But in my opinion, you do have to, like, that's the next step. After you're on your own, if you want to have like a physical location, especially, you get a lot more costs if you have a brick and mortar like store like me, like the salon or whatever business you're doing. If you don't have a brick and mortar, if you're starting online, or you can be mobile and you don't need much like space and you could keep your costs low, we're going back to the solopreneurship. But once you have employees too, you need a place for them as well, right? So it's kind of most likely you're going to need like a brick and mortar. Actually, I take that back. Nowadays, you can do a lot of things virtually as well, but I'm talking more I guess, on average, or more traditional type of business, if you do need a location and you have employees, you do end up having a lot more costs. So that's when you're also operating and you are putting in a lot of work, right? And at that point, if you love that lifestyle and that's right for you, that's kind of where you stay. And this is where a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs kind of end up being at. And unless somebody like me, who's gonna kind of push you and open up your eyes to the possibility of being only a business owner and not an operator at that point, which that means like you're at the third tier. And again, it doesn't have to be right for you. It takes different type of people and different type of skills and personality in order to even want to be just a business owner or the business owner and operator or just a solopreneur. You have to be real with yourself and see what suits you best. And there's no good or bad. Everything has its pros and cons. But talking about that third level, so that's when you actually could step back and just be the business owner. Nobody really even has to know who you are. You know, your business has a manager, it has an HR, it's flowing and it's working perfectly without you. So if you disappeared from on top of this planet, it would still be running really well. You're not working at all. Now that's like dramatic, but even within that sense, you can also just have like very minimal operating involvement. You can just be like the idea or I guess that's what I want to call it, like the idea giver. And that's the new term I gave, a new title I gave myself. Some people call themselves like the CEO, right? It just depends. But on a small to medium sized business, like really, like you're an idea giver if you want to just step back as much as possible and just be the business owner, and everybody else is pretty much doing their jobs and keeping the business afloat with very minimal involvement from you, if any. And one other thing I do want to point out, and initially when I kind of like this thought even sparked my interest and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do, is actually Tony Robbins. Like he said something in one of his talks that was like, oh, you're actually just an employee of your own business. I was like, dang, I am an employee of my own business. Although I own it, I'm like the lowest paid, hardest working employee of my business. Why do I think I'm an entrepreneur? I feel like, no, I'm not going to discount it. I think solopreneurs and business operators are the hardest working entrepreneurs. But the way he said it is like you're still an employee unless you can fully step back from your business and it's still making you money. And then you're really an entrepreneur. So his definition is like extreme of an entrepreneur, but I kind of like it because I don't like that everybody calls themselves an entrepreneur if they're unemployed or they're just kind of trying to start a side hustle. And if that's you, we're going to push you to really become an entrepreneur. Maybe Tony Robbins' definition of an entrepreneur. But anyways, if you need a business coach, you know, you can always contact us. Wow, that was very smooth in there. Okay, I'm joking, guys. Let's get back to the topic. But no, really, you can hire me as your coach. I would love to coach you to get you to that level. But as I said, so that's kind of initially back to like my storytelling. That's kind of initially when I heard about, okay, the difference between being an employee of your own business. I was like, that doesn't sound good. It's actually true. I am working a lot harder. I am earning a lot less money than I did at my like office job with working a lot harder and worrying and thinking and putting in all that extra effort because it's my business. And I don't have as much freedom as I wish I would, you know, once you grow to a point. And you don't mind though if you love what you're doing, and that's kind of the point I was at when I heard this phrase from him, and I was like, okay, so how do I become an entrepreneur based on his definition, right? Because actually at that point I also wanted to kind of not be as involved with the business because I wanted to do a US tour, and I've talked about that within the podcast episodes. Like we got the RV and did the tour thing with my now husband, and we also marketed the business while we did it. So we kind of worked, but anyways, I needed to figure out how to be an business owner and not fully an operator and step back and be an entrepreneur in Tony Robbins' definition in order for me to hopefully be at that next level. And for that, honestly, that's what I would say. It's probably not right for everybody either. Although it sounds glamorous, you know, you could step back and earn money. But the reality of it is if you're not operating, your income or how much money you're earning is probably going to be a lot less, especially in a service provider provider type of business, like mine was an eyelash business, for example. Doing the service itself, you were earning a lot more money because that's like fully you're keeping that service cost. But when you have to pay somebody else and still cover everything, all the other costs, make sure everything runs smooth. Now you may need an HR and a manager to make sure everything's operating properly without much of your involvement. Not everybody's texting you 24/7 to do things. At that point, you're earning a lot less compared to if you were actually also working within your business. Now, it's also great if you can scale that and, maybe have multiple businesses like that that's earning you little money, but you're not really putting in any work. At that point, I think you would be really a entrepreneur and investor, and that would be great. I almost got there and then COVID hit. I feel like I had to step back a little bit and be on and off, be a business owner operator, and then like fully just only the owner, didn't do much. So depending on where I was with COVID and having kids back to back, but I kind of love both of it because I do love what I do. It's like a nice mix to still be able to be a business operator and put in work when I need to, but then also just be the business owner. If I have to, take some time off and step back, everything will still run well on its own. I just may not be making as much money personally. In order to get to that level, you also need to work on yourself. And that's where this podcast comes in. You need to become who it takes to be a full-on entrepreneur. You do need to have really good people skills, really good management skill. You have to have really good budgeting skills, really good, I want to say, analyzing skills. You need to do all of these things in order to make sure that your business is going to succeed when you step back. You also have to be really good at putting systems in place, unless you have a lot of extra money within your business and you can hire people to also kind of set this up for you. You would pretty much need to hire a CEO, which they cost a lot. You probably, as a small to medium size owner, business owner, you would need to, it'll be smarter or more efficient to build these skills and you be the CEO and then step back for things to run smoothly without you. But you do need to work on yourself. Personal development's huge for me and for this podcast, and that's why we talk about things. And that's why a lot of the episodes have action plans of what you need to do, is because I'm pretty much trying to build you guys and myself to be like the best CEO possible, so we can kind of step back at some point and earn a lot of money and live our best lives contributing, even if it's like volunteering, even if it's vacationing, whatever floats your boat of the lifestyle you want to live, to not have to worry about money while you're doing it. If that makes sense. So that's kind of like my purpose. Well, I really hope all you listeners got motivated and inspired, hopefully, to want to become the third tier of an entrepreneur. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with just staying at a solopreneur. Sometimes like I kind of wish I was just a solopreneur, keeping things simple. I feel like I still earned a lot of money as a solopreneur and it was fun and less headache. And that was definitely great. But if you are inspired and motivated and you want to work and grow and grow and grow, which if you're listening to podcasts, I feel like most of you listeners might be wanting to do that, or at least giving it a try to see if it's right for you. I also highly recommend to subscribe and be part of our Patreon. It's brand new. There's hardly anybody there. So we'll spend a lot of one-on-one together, at least in the beginning, or we like to provide a lot of hand-holding as much as time provides, but super low cost to really invest in yourself and your business. Because like I said, we do need to become the right person in order to be a great entrepreneur and business owner and be able to really make money without working eventually, right? That's the goal. Anyways, so if you guys want to join me, we'll have like a nice community on our Patreon. There's 2 basic levels. One is for somebody to really just kind of like check it out, get as much extra material in order to grow. And the higher package is really to get your fully involved, hands-on, taking action, right? In order to grow and do all of that. So check it out. Right now it's at a great rate. It's only $5 or $7 for the advanced plan. So really nothing. It's just really, I want to build like a awesome community of awesome entrepreneur so we can all take over the world together, basically. Anyways, check it out. Well, again, thank you for listening, and please click the subscribe button if you are on YouTube as well. It helps me a lot in order to continue creating this free content for you, and hopefully we can also connect on social media, become friends, do all of that with the Yegi project. And until next time, thank you for listening. Bye. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.